In early 2020, the LFA launched Sitting Pretty, a design competition in collaboration with Network Rail. The competition invited people to consider engaging and imaginative seating solutions to maximise the underused public space within station. We caught up with each of the winning designers to find out the story behind the benches. Here, Martin Schimmerer from the United Suburbs tells us about his bench, ConvoStation.
I'm Martin, I'm the president of the United Suburbs of America, and I've designed ConvoStation. I was really inspired by the location. Recently there was this transition in train stations. There's a new type of visitor in train stations. There's no longer just the passenger. Right now, train stations, they're hosting kind of visitors, people that are going to the train station to use the facilities or the restaurants, not just to travel. So you have these two groups of people, and I was really interested in finding a way to get these two groups to join together and kind of form a dialogue between the two types of groups. We want to take the idea of a seat and make it more of a platform for people to have a conversation. So I hope when you sit down on this bench, you'll see that it's a bit awkward to sit next to a stranger, because when you sit next to them, they'll be in your peripherals. And so you'll be a bit more inclined to engage in a conversation. Or when you're sitting on this bench, you might feel someone joining in on the bench or joining in on the rocking, because maybe the tempo has changed. And so a new type of dialogue through motion has sort of evolved. I think the United Suburbs really wants to be playful, a bit silly, and perhaps try and be witty in some way. I don't think we want to take ourselves too seriously, so we want this to be a toy in a train station. We really want to kind of stick out from what a train station is. There's this transport infrastructure, very serious thing, and we want to play as a sort of interlude in someone's commute. I know that commutes could be very monotonous, and I know they could be very difficult sometimes. So I hope amongst, the bleak, grey days of London, you might see something colourful and playful in the corner of your eye, and maybe be drawn to engaging with it. Because a bench is in motion, it's a rocking bench, we had to look at materials that would accommodate that sort of movement or take on those sort of loads. So we did have to rely on ply and a lot of wood materials. That also led to the ability to kind of CNC these types of woods. But at times we wanted to paint over it so we could hide the material behind it. We wanted the bench to look more like a toy than it was a piece of furniture. It was myself in the design, but I am working with Universal Spray. And we did find a way to hide the grove and the natural material of wood and give it a certain sheen that you find in plastic toys. I think there's a lot of room right now for architects and designers to communicate their ideas. I'm really happy if designers are being a bit more adventurous in the way they kind of show their ideas. Usually, an architectural drawing is more than the drawing itself. It usually refers to the thing that's behind the drawing, the thing that you're about to design. But I think if we look at an architectural drawing as its own final product, there's some value in that. You could identify something that you might not get in the bench. You might identify how you imagine a person engaging with it, or you might identify what value something has over, you might be able to recall or refer to an idea that you had that you might not see in the final product. So I think architects or designers should really focus and care about the initial drawings. I mean, there's a lot of room to communicate more ideas than just the final thing, how it's maybe fabricated or what it's meant to look like.
To see images of the benches or to find out more information, head to lfa.london/station.